All right, bringing this meeting to order at 7 p.m. Looking for an adoption of the agenda. Anyone have anything to add?
I'll move.
Moved by Councillor Carlson. All in favor? Approved. Looking for an adoption of the regular meeting minutes from June 27th.
I'll make a motion to adopt the meeting minutes.
Moved by Councillor Meissner to adopt those regular meeting minutes. All in favor? Passed. Moving on to a public hearing, we'll just call this public hearing to order for Bylaw 1740, Land Use Bylaw Amendment. Abe?
Okay, so this public hearing is for the Land Use Bylaw Amendment 1740. Council approved first reading at the at the June 13th council meeting. And our planner, Gavin Scott, is here from ORSC to speak to some of the changes, but just to let council know that in accordance with municipal legislation, the land use amendments were advertised in the paper and to the public. We didn't get any comments or feedback regarding the changes. There is one other suggested change that administration has that wasn't there in first reading, and that was child and daycare facilities to provide provisions for daycare facilities in the retail commercial, highway commercial, and public land use districts. We currently didn't have that in our bylaw, and we do have a daycare in town. So having that in, that's one amendment we would like to propose that we include in these readings. And so if council's in favor of doing that, we would need a motion prior to second and third readings to amend the bylaw accordingly, and there's your motion down there. I'll just turn this over to the planner now. Gavin?
Yeah, thank you. I didn't have a lot to add to that public hearing generally. Somebody might be here to speak to it, seeing that there's not likely anybody here. I won't go through a big long spiel about what is acceptable as far as taking on information and that kind of thing. So typically public hearing is open to the public for their input, and we'll take their input under advisement. The amendment being driven tonight is by staff as described by Abe there. And one of the very few things that should be noted about implementation of this amendment is that after second and third reading, should you pass that this evening, in edit number 9, you'll find that there's a business license fee consideration. This will be coming back to council at some point in your near future as you review your business license fees. Other communities, and this is in regards to the Airbnb tourist home implementation of the bylaw. And other communities have certainly been bantering about what is an appropriate fee, so you'll see some very high numbers and some very straightforward numbers. As your community certainly has a fee structure, I believe it's $50 for a business license now, there may not be a reason to go beyond that. Other communities are finding that because of the pressure of tourist homes, they're setting their sites a lot higher as far as regulating. This is one of the few means they have to perhaps dissuade people from doing such a use. Other than that, unless you have questions, I don't have any further. Thank you.
Questions or comments? Councillor Piddle.
I have a question about adding the daycare. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Cutler. I have a question about adding the daycare to the listed here. If I understand this right, these are then become, once they're added in here, they become discretionary to the development officer to approve because they're already listed in the appropriate spot. Is that what I'm understanding correctly?
Yes, so in your package, the additions have been added to the red line portions of the bylaw, and you'll find under the districts that the day/child care facilities have been added in the districts as listed in the memo. the request for decision, so.
And I'm just wondering, and I guess I'll toss it out to the rest of the council, in that the fact that we do have a town-owned building that has the daycare in it and so on, and so anything going into a commercial area or something else, though beneficial as it may be, I'm wondering if maybe that's a discussion that shouldn't come back to council rather automatically, rather than leaving it to the discretion of development officer just to automatically approve.
So a lot of these daycares will be private. Certainly from the point of view, if they're using community facility, that would certainly come back to council as a item separate from a land use issue, if they're renting space or they're leasing space. So unless Abe has more to add to that.
No, I don't. It's intended for private interests to include this in the highway commercial and retail commercial.
Okay.
Any other questions at this time? We're all in agreement, so we can go ahead and, yes. Thank you. That's what I was just about to do. So if everyone's in agreement, so we can go ahead and adjourn the public meeting at 7:06 p.m. Move on to action items, which is, Gavin, are you staying with us for some of these?
I'll sit through this
'Kay.
section and then
Great.
take off.
Perfect. So if we move on to action items, bylaw 1740, land use bylaw amendment. Councillor Cutler.
I'll move to add the daycare, childcare facilities to retail commercial.
So moved by Councillor Cutler. Question?
Moved by Councillor Cutler to add day/childcare facilities into the retail commercial C1, highway commercial C2, and public P land use districts as permitted uses in bylaw number 1740 prior to second reading.
Can I just clarify? It says permitted uses there. I believe under the districts, it was added as DO discretionary.
What page is that, Gavin?
It'd be edit number 5, and you'd be looking at your C1, C2, and your P districts. And you'll see daycare, childcare facility being added, and those are all DO discretionary.
Okay. So the motion would have to change to development office discretionary uses.
So not permitted, it's discretionary uses?
Would you like to amend your?
I was just about to say that, Gavin, thank you. I'd like to amend my movement to include discretionary uses, not permitted uses.
Question?
Moved by Councillor Cutler to add day/childcare facilities into the retail commercial C1, highway commercial C2, and public P land use districts as development officer discretionary uses in bylaw number 1740 prior to second reading.
Further questions or discussion on this? Looking for a motion to give bylaw 17 second reading.
We have to vote in favor.
Oh, sorry, all in favor, thank you. Opposed? One opposed? Passed. We are now looking for a motion to give bylaw 1740 a second reading. Does someone like to make that motion? Moved by Councillor Schlossberger. Question?
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to give bylaw number 1740 a land use bylaw amendment, second reading.
Further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Passed. Looking for a third and final reading for bylaw 1740. by Councillor Carlson. Question?
Moved by Councillor Carlson to give bylaw number 1740 a land use bylaw amendment, third and final reading.
All in favor? Pass.
Thanks, Gavin.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming. Moving on. Bylaw number 1741, residential tax refund bylaw. First reading. Abe?
Yeah, so the Community Development Committee has been working on a residential tax relief bylaw. The purpose of that relief or refund bylaw is to incentivize development. And so this bylaw is on the agenda for first reading tonight. The bylaw has been vetted by legal to ensure it's in compliance with municipal legislation. There are two possible areas for refund on this bylaw, and I'll just take us to the appendix or the schedules at the end, where it outlines the requirements to be eligible for the refund. And the first schedule we have here is for individual lots, for people either that's been created from a newly developed lot or an infill property. And the builders or the homeowners have the ability to receive a 75% reduction in the first taxation year. This is after the development has been, after the building has been approved and passed final inspection. And so 75% a reduction of the municipal tax in the first year, 50% of the municipal tax in the second year, and 10% of the tax in the third year. And in order to be eligible for those tax refunds, you have to have a increased in assessed value of $200,000 as resulting from the construction of a new build. There's a few other provisions here. In order to be eligible, residential land must be held for resale, and it must be located in a residential land use district. Development occurs on the property after coming into effect of the bylaw, and the development must be in compliance with the town's requirements in the town's land use bylaw and any other applicable municipal bylaw or regulation. And again, the development must be completed and the final inspection of the building permit for the development is completed and compliant as well. Additionally, the applicant must have all outstanding properties paid in full. And the next schedule to be eligible for tax refund, this is geared towards subdivision of 20 or more lots. And this, just review the eligibility here again, council. This is for vacant residential land that is being developed, and the land must be located in a residential land use district in town. Development occurs on the property after coming into effect of the bylaw. Again, development is in compliance with requirements of the town's land use bylaw and any other applicable municipal bylaw or regulation. It must be the result of a completed subdivision. Final approval has been received of more than 20 lots, and must be the original subdivider who is applying, person who initially subdivided the lands. And all outstanding properties, again, must be, property taxes must be paid in full. And the refund here is 50% in the first taxation year following the subdivision, 20% in the second taxation year following the subdivision, and 10% in the third taxation year following the subdivision. And so the Community Development Committee has talked about this, and in hopes of providing relief for developers who are subdividing properties and getting relief of their municipal portion of their taxes, which gives them the ability to, is an incentive, and gives them the ability to reserve funds for development purposes other than paying taxes. And so what could potentially happen here is in a new subdivision, they could be incentivized to develop, and then once they build, the new owner, could apply for the individual lots and then get that tax incentive. So the whole application process and other provisions are outlined in the bylaw itself. The applications for the tax refunds have to be done within the first year, either the subdivision being approved or of the development and the building being approved. So,
Questions or comments? Councillor Cutler.
This is going to sound really odd. It's a tax relief incentive? Then why are we calling it a tax refund?
well, tax relief, tax refund.
Is it the same? I'm struggling with the word refund. and
Yeah,
that-
well, and we don't have the ability to, it's a relief of a portion of the taxes.
Right.
We have the ability to relieve of the municipal portion, right? So
Right.
there's other taxes, such as the seniors and the education taxes that we can't actually
Yeah.
relieve.
So my question is, do they have to pay the taxes and we refund
Yes.
them their money back?
Yes.
So,
And that's in accordance with legislation.
okay, that's what, so
Yep.
it is actually a refund. It's not a
Yes.
tax relief incentive where they only have to pay 25%. They actually have to pay 100%, and we'll refund them back the percent.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Councillor Kellis.
Try that again. Couple of questions. I take it this is an incentive to encourage construction, right? That's why we're doing this? Okay, fair enough. My other question was around the 20 unit lot size. Was that an intentional number, or is there some reason around that? Why 20? Why not 10? I guess that's my question.
We wanted to make it attractive to somebody who, a developer who comes in and buys that amount of acres to develop houses on. 10 lots is not that much, right? So 20 lots is a bigger chunk.
The developer's not going to come down here and build 10 lots, but a developer will be more to come down and build 20 type of thing. 10 is not, it's not going to invite people to come down and buy stuff.
And some of the area structure plans that we have in place are quite extensive. They're planned out for
Substantial.
substantial development.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other questions? No? We're looking for a motion to give bylaw 1741 first reading. Moved by Councillor Schlossberger. Question?
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to give bylaw number 1741, a residential tax refund bylaw, first reading.
Any further questions, comments, or concerns? All in favor? Passed. Moving on to bylaw 1742, business license bylaw amendment, second and third readings. Abe?
Yeah, so council just amended the land use bylaw to include a provision for Airbnb and vacation rentals, short-term rentals. And in that amendment, suggested that there would be a business license fee attached to those businesses or those operations. And so we have to amend the bylaw, like to amend the business license bylaw to include that provision in the business license to account for the short-term rentals and the Airbnbs. And we're suggesting that it just ties in with existing $50 per annum business license fee.
Questions?
And, sorry, this is on the agenda for second and third. We approved, council approved first reading at the last council meeting.
Questions? Councillor Cutler.
If I have 4 houses, do I have to pay 4 business licenses, or am I just one business renting out 4 places?
If you put them under one business.
Right, if it's one,
If it's called Cutler Enterprises,
Just be one.
but if I just own 4 houses, and I don't have a...
Any other questions? Looking for second reading, amendment. For motion. Moved by Councillor Kettles.
I'll move second reading.
Moved by Councillor Kettles. Question?
Moved by Councillor Kettles, give bylaw number 1742, business license bylaw amendment, second reading.
All in favor? Opposed? Unopposed, passed. Looking for a third and final reading. Moved by Councillor Carlson. Question?
Moved by Councillor Carlson to give bylaw number 1742, a business license bylaw amendment, third and final reading.
Any further questions, concerns? All in favor? Opposed? One opposed, passed. Moving on, bylaw 1744, water and sewer utility bylaw amendment, second and third readings. Abe?
Yeah, we talked last meeting about the water pressures that we have in our system right now at Pine Coulee, and things were, reservoir levels were quite low, and we realized that there could be the potential of having to introduce restrictions at some point this summer. We do have a water restrictions guide in town. And so when we went looking at our bylaw, we realized that we had no provisions to actually enforce those water restrictions, and those water restrictions are tied to our water license. And so the water situation is due to the recent rainfalls in the last few weeks is much better. However, we thought it would be prudent or wise to have the water restrictions response plan included in our bylaw, our water and sewer utility bylaw, so we could actually enforce those restrictions through town if we ever had to enter into restrictions modes. And so the water restrictions response plan has been taken right out of a study by our engineers and right out of an approved water response plan, shortage response plan. And so we've amended the bylaw to include provisions to allow the CAO or the CAO's delegate to call the restrictions just in accordance with the water restrictions response plan. We did take council. It previously said that council had the ability to call restrictions, but we thought that just given it's not super practical to have council gather together to call water restrictions. They could come at any point in time, and council generally meets a couple times throughout the summer. If we enter restrictions, we kind of need to be able to call those in real time. So, sorry, if we enter the point where the water level dictates we should be in restrictions, we need to be able to call those restrictions. So the bylaw has been amended. First reading has been passed. And it's just here for second and third reading tonight, council.
Any questions or comments? Looking for a motion for second reading with amendment. Moved by Councillor Cutler. Question?
Moved by Councillor Cutler to give bylaw number 1744, a water and sewer utility bylaw amendment, second reading.
Questions, concerns? All in favor? Passed. Looking for a third and final reading.
I'd like to give bylaw 1744, third reading.
Moved by Councillor Zimmer. Question?
Moved by Councillor Zimmer to give bylaw number 1744, a water and sewer utility bylaw amendment, third and final reading.
Questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Passed. Moving on, number 5, delegation response, Carson residents Wayne McKay, sanitary sewer line issues. Dave?
Yeah, last council meeting, council had a delegation from a resident concerning the sewer service line. A resident was looking for the town to do some repairs to that sewer service line. Just bear with me while I pull this up. So there is a sag in this resident's sewer service line. It does result in some maintenance issues every couple of years. It sounds like they've been maintaining it every couple of years since maybe 2008, where they did a clean out. And perhaps in the last couple of years, they've been doing that a little bit more frequently. The claim is that the town installed or created the problem by laying the sewer line, service line incorrectly. In our best estimation, that sewer line was installed in 1994 when the house was built, which predates any of our public works staff and their employment here. And so trying to find files, we couldn't find anything, we couldn't verify. Very difficult to verify if the town actually installed it incorrectly, and it's been 30 years. So looking back on that, we weren't able to find any information about the install. The claim was that the town pushed the line through the ground under the sidewalk. That's not a standard practice either for the town. Our recommendation, the resident was looking for the town to fix the belly in the line. Our recommendation is that it's the owner's responsibility to maintain the service line right into the main, as outlined in our bylaw. And it's not uncommon in town for people to have to do this and for lines to develop bellies over the years. Given the information that we've been provided, that line worked properly for 7 or 8 years. We still believe that it works properly, but it requires a bit of maintenance. Council did ask that we provide a quote to fix that belly. It would be about $10,500 to get in there and open up the sidewalk and the driveway and create the repairs. That is not a complete replacement on the line. That's just replacing the area where there appears to be a belly, where there is a belly.
Questions, comments? Open it for discussion. Councillor Kettles.
Did I read that correctly in that the belly is about 2 inches?
Yeah.
And that is, in people's experience, significant? Obviously, it's causing the problems, but...
Well, under regular water flows, those bellies can be cleaned up and pushed along. There is a bit of grease in the line, and it is perhaps a little bit deeper than some bellies in town. And if there's not enough water flow, we do see issues of backing up and solids collecting in that belly. We do see that, and so. A recommendation to residents that have this issue is to do a regular, fill the bathtub up and let it loose and let that drain properly, the solids drain. Again, over time, grease does build up. There was some grease in the line as well, and that catches down in the belly as well. So.
Other questions, comments?
Other than, I mean, it's tough, but it was back in 1994, and there's no real solid proof that it was installed wrong.
maybe pushing water lines were common in some areas. You never know. That was multiple years ago, so I don't see how we can be on the hook for something that happened that long ago without any actual proof.
My question is if the contractor stated that it wasn't installed properly at that time, why didn't the contractor have it properly installed or state something at that time 30 years ago is my biggest question. If you notice something's being done wrong, you should probably say something, but so I'm not sure what we would do as a town at this time other than
Our recommendation is that the homeowner continues to maintain the line, and if they ever need to have it repaired, we can assist, we can coordinate the repairing and replacement, and the town certainly will service that line from the sewer main to the property line. But that the town doesn't incur the cost to fix the belly on this line at this time.
any other questions, comments in regards to this? Take this as information at this time.
We'll
Or-
connect with the homeowner and
Connect
let
as
them
well.
know that we had a conversation, presentation to council, and
Thank you. Moving on, delegation response. The Woodshed request to use arena mezzanine. Abe?
yeah, a month and a half or so ago, the Woodshed Group came to council and proposed to use the mezzanine at the arena as a space for their martial arts activities. Obviously, a great service or a great program to have in the town. They had some good success prior to COVID at competitions and actual just having enrollment numbers, very good enrollment numbers, and had a lot of positive impact on people throughout the town. During COVID, they closed. They are looking to get started up again. And again, they've proposed to use the mezzanine at the arena. Now, that's generally space that has been used for community groups to book and for different purposes, exercise group, fitness group, dance groups, and hockey, minor hockey groups. We use that from time to time. It's not used a lot. And so Recreation has been working with this group to develop a space whereby they could have a portion of the mezzanine and lease that out for 6 months. And another portion of the mezzanine would still be able to be used by community groups. So it's divided east and west. The Woodshed Group would get the east, the east side, and we'd develop a folding door that would separate the two spots. There's a picture here of what that would look like. Some pictures. There we are.
Yes.
So Ed,
Abe, come.
Recreation has talked to Woodshed, and they understand and agreed to this?
Well, like Recreation did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've had conversations with Woodshed, and because it just says
Yeah.
here, they recommended we propose to divide the mezzanine.
Yeah.
But they've already had this conversation with Woodshed, and they're okay with the division and having the east side?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because that's not, it's just, when it says in here, proposed, Recreation would like to propose dividing the mezzanine.
Right.
But the conversation has been with Woodshed, and they're
Yeah.
okay with it?
Yeah, and so
Oh, okay.
Recreation is proposing to council.
Us. Okay,
So,
okay.
Yeah. So we have kind of developed a lease agreement for them. And it's here for your review as well. They have said that looks good. So there would be some construction costs. I'm just trying to pull the picture. Here's what it looks like right here, schematic. There would be some construction costs associated with putting a wall in, a temporary wall. It would fold up accordion style. And that's about a $6,000 hit. And this space here, again, on the west, would be open to users, community users, for different programming. So we've got some pictures here of what the space looks like.
Nice looking space too, nice floors.
And so we thought that this is an option for council. We've talked a lot about budgets and budgetary restrictions lately, and the increased pressures. This is one small potential revenue source. Obviously, the revenue off of this for the first little while would go to paying for the construction costs. But if we could market that as a place moving forward, if the woodshed was happy in there, we can continue to generate some revenue and continue to rent out the west side as well. So I just wanted to know what council thoughts are or questions would be on this presentation.
For discussion. Councillor Kettles.
I notice as it's designed that the access to the little bit of water that's up there would be on the east side. If there was a rental on the west side, I guess they could just open the door to clean the floors or do or access the water or do whatever they needed to do. I read in here, there seems to be a sense of cooperation at this point with the woodshed folks, or time to time having to open up that partition.
Yep. Yeah, and even to use the access to the washrooms, they would have to go through that east side. It's not perfect, or sorry, the west side. It's not a perfect scenario, but that is something we would be informing the users when it's double booked, that we do have a renter on the east side that would need to get through from time to time to use restrooms and whatnot.
Any other questions?
My only concern is that typically on any commercial rental, upgrades or build-out costs are usually incurred by the renter. With the minimum commitment of a 6-month lease and paying out more for building improvements than the lease brings in, I've got concerns on that commitment and whether it's wise.
Any other comments? I wrote down ideally I would have liked a 12-month lease just because of the cost that we would have to endure. It'd be preferred for me, just to ensure that one, by the time that it's all put into place, I don't know if we would have enough time, or they would even have enough time to see if it would be successful up there for both parties. But also I think this is a really great thing for our community, that if they were not agreeable to the 12 months and to do the 6 months, I think it would be a risk I would be willing to take at this moment. Councillor Cutler.
So what's the cost of $6,000 for the accordion door and a $4,800 intake so at least a $1,200, but it gives us 2 rooms to rent out instead of just 1 room at the end of the 6 months if they decide not to renew their lease. I think it's too big of a room for anybody to rent on a regular basis anyhow. I like the idea of splitting it in 2. It'd be nice to have 2 sets of bathrooms eventually, or and I think it's a missed gem. A lot of people don't know how good it does look up there and stuff, and I think it will hopefully take off if we have 2 separate areas, but at $1,200 to put an accordion door up there to divide it up, I'm okay with that as well.
I would be in agreement that I would prefer to see a 12-month lease over a 6-month lease, and get that assurance of a commitment for a year to see where we're going.
When you spoke with them, would they be willing to do a 12-month lease with us?
Yeah, we can talk to them about it. Their preference was for a 6-month, just because there's uncertainty. They're trying to get up and running again, and I believe they're just not sure of what the future looks like. So
We're in the middle of a 9-month lease.
but we can certainly request that. And
When are they looking to open? Sorry, did it say when they're looking to start taking classes? July.
Yeah.
Contract will start July 1st, 2022.
Well,
July
So
20th.
yesterday.
yeah,
So,
they would start moving in right away. You just charge them retroactively from July 1st. But they'd be looking to move in,
now and start?
yeah.
And if we were to go back, we'd have to bring this up to council, so we wouldn't be able to move forward with this until August, is that correct?
Yeah, depending on what the direction from council is at this time.
Well, let's push it through with a 6-month lease and encourage their success.
Right. Yeah. And I just have to say, I did get a visit today from a community group that was using the space, that was concerned that it conflicted, that the town went ahead and is going ahead with these plans, or would like to go ahead with the plans, and it's changed their space. And so they're not interested in using that space, the other space anymore. They are currently a fitness group that uses it a couple times a week. And I told them I would bring the concern up to council. That's why when the woodshed came at first, they wanted the whole space. We kind of read the room with council and felt like we needed to still have some free space for community groups. And so that's why we've come to this recommendation that we split the room. It's still not good enough for one of the user groups, and they've indicated that they won't be renting anymore. So that just came through today, so I mentioned I would pass that on. We still feel like we would like to recommend this and go forward with it, and there's still a usable space on the west side for a lot of groups. Unfortunately, this existing user doesn't feel that it would be enough space for them, so.
How often did this existing user use it? How many hours per week?
One renter, 2 days per week, 4 hours
Was
at
that it?
2020?
Yeah, yeah.
1 under 2 days a week.
I'm not a big fan of splitting it, but
It's not, it's an accordion door, you can open it if they...
Yeah, but I
no,
understand.
but I think, if I understand it right, they want it to be, the accordion door be there, but they want to stay on that half permanently. That would be their half. Right, so,
And
I don't know, it just seems like to me, it seems kind of quick looking for a spot. It's not ideal. I
6-month guaranteed lease with payment versus 4 hours a week being used, the whole part.
see, at 6 months, you put the wall up, you do what you want. In 6 months, there's like a diamond in the rough that opens up somewhere else, and then they move, and then you have, I mean, sure, you still have the 2 rooms, but one side, neither one of them serviced. One side will have service, so you can't really, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of splitting up the upstairs like that.
But if they leave after 6 months, you can leave it open and you can rent it out to whoever, and they got service to both sides.
True, but you guys were just saying it's hard enough to rent it all out as one big one. So you're gonna incur that cost for the 6 good months and then have it open for how it has been for now.
With an addition.
Seems like to me,
Oh, so Councillor Schlossberg, sorry.
Sorry.
We talked about the partition, but there's also doors, keypad
Yeah.
the town has to install.
That's what the cost.
Yep, we would pay for the keypad on that is the east access, that's where they would be accessing it. There's an east door, external door. And then eventually, if they stuck around, we would pay for a key fob system on the west side.
East door?
in the alley.
In the alley.
Yeah.
There's side
Yeah.
stairs that go up the side.
Councillor Kettle?
Do we know what the lighting is in the alley? Is it adequate for
call it public access into that side? I don't know, I'm just wondering if that's a concern.
I don't know.
The doors on the back, there's lights over top of each door.
Is there?
Should be good.
Oh, I'm ready to take a crack at this one.
Councillor Slusher.
I have a lot of concerns about this. There seems to be a lot of potential problems.
I was waiting for him to elaborate if,
I
No,
think he's
he
just,
just- okay.
amalgamating all the problems that we've been talking about. There's potential for a lot of problems.
Councillor Cavanagh.
So I'll make a movement to allow the Woodshed Marshall area to sign a lease. We'll see where it lies after the vote.
All right. Any further discussion with this? All in favor? Sorry, I'm in favor too. Opposed? Motion denied.
Move on.
All right. Moving on. Correspondence, National Police Federation. Follow-up call to action to the Government of Alberta. Abe?
You might recall that we had, council received some correspondence from the National Police Federation recently about a call to action regarding the provincial plans to institute a provincial police force. That call to action is included here for your information, council. A number of other communities approved that call to action. The call is improve current, that the province cease plans for provincial police force and rather improve current policing services to reduce response times and address rural crime by increasing the number of RCMP, to improve social services to address the root causes of crime, and increase resources within the justice system, ensure timely trials, by prioritizing violent over nonviolent crimes, and to hire more Crown prosecutors and appoint more provincial court judges. So the National Police Federation is asking you if you would like to support their call for action. They're giving you a second chance here, I guess. They would reissue the call to action if, I guess they're doing a second round of engagements with municipal councils. Council received this as information last time.
Open this up for discussion.
I just thought we've supported all the letters and
We have, but this is a
Right.
call to action, so they want your,
we've had this in front of us before?
Yes, we did.
we didn't sign the letter.
Right,
We
Took it
just
as-
wrote a letter.
right, okay.
In May of 2021, I believe, council wrote a letter to this effect, approved a letter requesting that the province stop with their plans for a provincial police force.
Councillor Slusher.
I support signing up for this.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion to?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Councillor Schlossberger. Question?
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to join the National Police Federation's call to action to the Government of Alberta concerning its pursuit of an Alberta Provincial Police Service and to support the retention of the RCMP in Alberta.
Further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Passed. Moving on, request for decision, Fair Days Beer Gardens.
No.
Abe?
No.
Sure. Welcome.
Middle button. Little guy speaking. Push.
Little man?
Yep.
There he is. Ta-da. Okay, so there has been somewhat of a
Just
development.
jumped out there, yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, we are making the request just because of the
town land that we're requesting to use for Fair Days. I think is that 49th or 50th that they want us on the end of. So we'll be doing that Saturday, August 13th from 11 a.m. We plan on shutting down at 4. So that'll be that area there for a beer garden like we've done in the past several times. Santana called and confirmed with me the other day that she has the rodeo going on over at the Agriplex. I had every intention of phoning Tara today. Didn't have time to even change my mind today, let alone make any phone calls. And wasn't able to contact her to find out if, because the town leases to the Agricultural Society, the Ag Society, do I need to add you guys if we do beer later that evening at the rodeo from, I believe, 6 o'clock to about midnight? I need to put in a second location on my AGLC application. Do I need do we add the town agreement saying, yes, you can use this spot, or is it through the Ag Society?
You're doing it inside the Ag building.
It's in the Ag building, so they lease from the town, so I need town permission or Ag permission?
No, check, I'm sorry. They run a beer garden there with the bull ride and all that stuff's just run through the Ag Society. We don't make any decisions on what they do with their beer gardens inside their building.
So I'll talk to Dave, because HLC had said I can't piggyback on their liquor license, on Dave's liquor license there.
Nope.
So, okay, does anyone know who the Ag Society contact is? Is it Dave?
The mayor. Oh, yeah, Dave Hansman. Yeah, Dave Hansman, we got to talk to, because, yeah, the beer gardens that are inside the Ag Society is just a strictly, and you can't piggyback off theirs because they already have one.
Because we'll be an independent.
Dave will know exactly what to do and how to do it and what.
Okay, so I'll talk to Dave about that. So, yeah, I guess from the town, it's just strictly remains the downtown location that I need the letter for then.
Dave, would you like to present that? Or
No, that's okay. It's been presented.
I got wild for a minute.
It's been presented.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to approve it.
All right. Moved by Councillor Cutler. Question.
Moved by Councillor Cutler to approve the responsible sale and consumption of liquor at 50th Avenue West downtown parking lot, Saturday, August 13th, 2022, between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. on the condition that an application to the Alberta Liquor and Gaming Commission has been approved and it is displayed at the event.
Any further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Passed.
You didn't even have to be here for this one.
No, you're good. But yeah, that question for Dave, let's go talk to Dave. They know what they're doing. Yeah. Inside the Agriplex is a totally different ballgame, so. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That was easy. Thank you.
Good control, Mayor. Good control.
Way to go, Mayor.
Request number 9. Request for decision. Appoint assessor. Abe.
Yeah, as per municipal legislation, we have to appoint our town assessor. We have a contract with Benchmark Assessment Consultants. The current contract term is until July 31st, 2023. And so, according to the legislation, a municipality must appoint a person having the qualifications set out in the regulations to the position of a designated officer to carry out the functions, duties, and powers of a municipal assessor under this act. And so, it's kind of a formality, I guess, or a legislative requirement, Council. The motion there before you to appoint Logan Waylagi of Benchmark Assessment Consultants as the town assessor for the town of Claresholm for the 2022 assessment year.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Carlson. Question.
Moved by Councillor Carlson to appoint the town's current assessor, Logan Waylagi, an employee of Benchmark Assessment Consultants, Inc., as the assessor for the town of Claresholm for the 2022 assessment year.
Questions.
How much does that cost to have Benchmark do the assessments?
I don't know that number off the top of my head, but I can look into that. Oh, there you go.
I don't know how much it is per Collegius T, that's.
That year. So it's $54,830 for the whole year.
Including GST.
Does that ever go out for tenure?
I can speak for in a previous area, it did. I don't know what the process is here, I assume it would be, but where I was at previously, that does go up for tenure, yes.
Ouch. I'm done.
Okay. Any further thoughts, comments, concerns? All in favor? Any opposed? One opposed, passed. All right. Number 10, request for decision, town's unposted speed limit. Dave?
So back in April, we had a request from council to research a 40-kilometer-an-hour speed limit throughout town. And this item probably would have come back a little bit sooner, but it was assigned to the bylaw officer, and then we changed bylaw officers. So we've been giving our new bylaw officer a chance to get acquainted with the town, and he's had the opportunity to research the matter and bring it forward to the Emergency Services Committee. And they recommended that we recommend to council the information that's on the RFD here, and I'll just go over that real quick. So this is something that's gaining a bit of traction, 40-kilometer-an-hour unposted speed limits in municipalities. Edmonton and Calgary have that. Nanton has it. And there are a number of other areas. Coldwell is in the process of lowering their speed limit as well. The impetus for lowering the speed limit on town roads would be to decrease the likelihood of collisions and decrease also the severity in the instance that there would be a collision, decrease the severity of those collisions. And if this change were to take effect in town, we would have to keep in mind that Highway 2 and Highway 520, the provincial roads, we would not be able to change those speed limits on those highways. We would only be able to control what is a municipal roadway. But what we're suggesting is that we engage the public first and send a survey out to see what their level of interest is in lowering the speed limit from 50 kilometers to 40 kilometers. And we have outlined very simple survey. Are you in favor of reducing speed limits throughout town, excluding, of course, Highway 2 and 520, from 50 kilometers to 40 kilometers? Yes or no? If yes, why? If no, why not? And so if council's interested, we would issue a survey to respondents, to town residents. You'd have a QR code, send it out in the mail to those who receive their postage, hard copies of postage, and they would be able to kind of scan that QR code and fill it out online. We'd also give them a paper copy and give them the ability to actually fill it out if they're not comfortable doing that, and bring it in, and we would just collect the results. And of course, that would also go out to people who receive email copies of their utility bills, kind of by the end of August is what we're projecting. And then we would have a open kind of opportunity for residents to submit their responses to that survey for about a month, solicit two responses from per address is what we were kind of thinking, and then we would report the findings back to council. Our thoughts are a proposal like this needs to get some public feedback before we do anything. So just wanted to know if you had any questions on that, or comments, concerns.
A bit for discussion, Councilor Schlosberger.
I'm in favor of a survey, but I want that survey to include at a cost of $3,300.
$4,300. There's the 3,300 plus the additional $1,000 for the two, 4,300. Is there a significant need for this? Like, are we noticing that there's lots of collisions within the community?
No, but there's lots of disrespect from drivers on the road, people that are walking and riding their bikes, and kids that chase their balls across the road. I walk everywhere. It's very little concern for pedestrians.
I know several people who live in Manton. They aren't abiding by that speed limit anyway.
A few of the people from that said they have to because of some of the road conditions, so they abide by it, but
As most people won't. Like I say, a lot of people do complain about how fast some of the traffic is. I mean, everybody's happy with 50K through town, usually, right? If most people are driving 60 or 70, you know, nobody's going to get pulled over. Nobody gets pulled over for doing 10 over on the highway. You're probably not going to get pulled over for doing 10 over in town. But if your speed limit's 40 and you're clocked doing 60, you might, instead of doing 60 and 70 everywhere through town, if there's a 40 posted, maybe you might slow her down to 50.
Maybe.
Just saying maybe. But at least now you're doing 50, you're not doing 60 or 70 anymore.
so we want to, your suggestion is to lower it to 40 to hopes that the people who don't already follow the 50 will
Follow 50.
follow the 50 instead of the 40?
Adjust their speed accordingly.
Okay.
Yeah. I do 120 down Highway 2, I only do 110 down 520, because I adjust it to the speed limit sign. I don't do the speed limit, but I adjust it. I think if there's an opportunity to enhance safety within our community, get the people's opinions, get their choices, we'll listen to what the people have to say. I'll make the motion to direct administration to engage in a public survey.
Any other questions, comments with this? All in favor?
Just, do we want the cost component built into that
I
survey?
apologize.
Sure.
Sure.
Yes.
There's nothing to hide.
Well, no, they should know what it's going to cost them if they want it.
Right. So question?
Well, it doesn't
Yes,
have to be
yes,
all.
please.
$1 per resident. $1 per resident.
Just trying to justify it to me right now.
So
It's easily absorbed. I guess not easily.
Sorry.
moved by Councillor Cutler to direct administration to engage the public on changing the town's unposted speed limit to 40 kilometers per hour and the corresponding cost of that of $4,300, and that administration report public engagement findings to council at the October 10th, 2022 regular meeting of council.
All in favor? Opposed? 1 passed. Moving on. Information brief, 2021 transfer to water sewer capital reserves. Abe?
Back in April, council directed administration to prepare information on the water rates to discuss at a future audit and finance committee meeting. And there was some concerns that the town had collected in excessive amounts of utility reserves. And so council wanted administration to follow up and get some answers to those questions. The budgeted amount, the amount we collected was more than the number that we had identified as the amount that was going to reserves by about 600,000. And so the Audit and Finance Committee met today, and our Director of Corporate Services provided a review of why those numbers seemed to be in excess of what we had budgeted for. And so I'll just give you a bit of information from that conversation. Back in 2018, council approved a rate structure change to the utility rates, whereby the town would be collecting money for cost recovery for their utility services. And at the time, the decision was made because a lot of the repairs to utilities was being funded by tax dollars and particularly as well by grant funding. And so a lot of the grant funding that we would normally use for roads and recreation and pathways and sidewalks was going to fund the costs of utilities. And so council at that time put in a plan to raise the rates and to have cost recovery for the sewer and water utilities. And at the time, the recovery was based on, again, the reserves were based on a full recovery. It wasn't accounting for inflation, but it was based on the initial cost of the infrastructure services. At the same time, when council implemented those changes to the utility rates, administration started collecting, started itemizing the reserves, the amortization rather, the amortization as the net value, net book value, which was a significantly more depreciated value, and so it was much lower than what the initial utility reserve cost was set at. And so, make a long story short, we actually collected what we were intending to collect when the decision in 2018 was made to raise utility rates. We collected very close to what we intended to, but because of budgetary changes in how we documented amortization, it appeared that there was an excessive amount. The amortization had decreased quite a bit compared to what it was based on when we increased the rates. And so we're just reporting that back to council at this time, that we are putting away into reserves what council had intended at the time. And in addition to that, we would recommend that we continue to keep these rates because we have significant asset deficits throughout town. And in order to fund future replacement of those assets, those utilities, and have money to be able to replace our assets and to plan for the future, we feel that this is these rates should stay in place.
Open this up for discussion. Councillor Carlson.
I would just like to say thank you to Blair for the discussion today. It seemed odd when those numbers came in as high as they did, and now understanding where the numbers came from and so on and so forth, I know I questioned them quite heavily, and most likely unjustly so. So thank you to him for the clarity and understanding that we are on goal.
Great. Any further comments, questions? Well, thank you to administration, and we'll take that for information at this time. Moving on, for information brief, cancellation of public auction. Abe?
Yeah, back in May, council set the reserve bid for a single property that was still on the 2021 tax arrears list, and it was scheduled for auction in 2022 for tax recovery. And just wanted to inform council that the outstanding taxes on this property have been paid since that time, and so the auction that was initially set for August is now canceled.
Good. Questions or comments with that? Take it for information. Moving on, information brief. Strategic plan report. Abe?
It's just an update for council on some of the progress on the strategic plan. All of your initiatives are laid out here, council, including your core values and your mission statement and vision statement. That's for public usage as much as it is for council's information as well, to see where administration is at on some of these initiatives. Any questions on any of those?
That's good.
No questions? All right. Take it for information. Moving on, 14, information brief, council resolution status. Abe?
And once again, just a motion tracker to show council the progress on some previous motions from previous meetings.
Any questions, comments? Nope. Take it for information. Looking for an adoption of the information items. Moved by Councillor Carlson. Question?
Moved by Councillor Carlson to adopt the information items as presented.
All in favor? Passed. Looking for a motion to go in camera to discuss several items, confidential evaluations, land, legal, and personnel. Moved by Councillor Carlson to go in camera at 8:10 p.m. All in favor? Passed. Camera off.
Well, I'm going to read every
Motion to
word
come
and
out of
maybe
camera at
we'll say comma.
9:23 p.m. Moved by Councillor Carlson. All in favor? Passed. Looking for a motion for in-camera item
Take that off the screen.
16A. Moved by Councillor Cutler to appoint Lisa Anderson. Perfect. Question?
Moved by Councillor Cutler to appoint Lisa Anderson to the Clarisholmen District FCSS Board.
Any further discussion, questions, comments? All in favor? Moved. Moving on to in-camera 16B. Request for decision, closure of alley. Looking for, sorry, my internet just went down. Looking for a motion for the road closure, to start the road closure process.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Councillor Meister. Question?
Moved by Councillor Meister to begin the road closure process and transfer of the alley adjacent to between 51 and 53 Westland Drive, split half to each adjacent property owner, with all the costs to be borne by the adjacent landowners.
Any further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Passed. Moving on to request for decision for in Tamarack lots. Oh, sorry, is there one more?
No, sorry. I was doing my own thing.
Okay,
Sorry.
all right. So request for decision for the Tamarack lots.
I'll make a motion to accept the unconditional offer for $32,000 for lot 67, block 118.
Question?
Moved by Councillor Zimmer to accept the unconditional offer and the amount of $32,000 submitted by Structural Precast for the property located at Lot 67, Block 118, Plan 801-0781, subject to obtaining a development permit within 1 year from date of title transfer.
Any further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Approved. Yes, Councillor Cutler.
I'd like to make the motion to accept a bid of $42,000 for the property located at Lot 4, Block 117, Plan 801-0781.
Question?
Moved by Councillor Cutler to accept the unconditional offer and the amount of $42,000 submitted by Structural Precast for the property located at Lot 4, Block 117, Plan 801-0781, subject to obtaining a development permit within 1 year from date of title transfer.
Any further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Passed. Moving on for a request for decision for the real estate listings of the town-owned properties.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Councillor Zimmer. And Schlossberger, oh my gosh, sorry guys. It's moved by Councillor Schlossberger to enter into the 1-year real estate contract. Question?
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to enter into a one-year real estate contract with Avison Young for the purpose of listing and selling town-owned land as per the submitted proposal.
Any further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Passed. Looking for a motion to set the list price.
I would like to make a motion to set the list price as presented and laid out.
Moved by Councillor Zimmer. I almost said Schlossberger that time. Oh my goodness. Moved by Councillor Zimmer to set the list price as presented. For Block 4, Plan 76-10058, there's two presented. Numbers, would you?
So it's the list. So moved by Councillor Zimmer to set the list price for Lot 3, Block 66, Plan 791-0032 at $13,230. Lot 6, Block 4, Plan 791-0032 at $6,100. Lot 7, Block 4, Plan 791-0032 at $46,090. Lot 8, Block 4, Plan 791-0032 at $47,820. Lot 9, Block 4, Plan 791-0032 at $47,800. Block 4, Plan 761-0058 at $299,000. The Tamarack lots will be Lot 66, Block 118, Plan 801-0781 at $30,000. Lot 68, Block 118, Plan 801-0781 at $30,000. Lot 69, Block 118, Plan 801-0781 at $30,000. Lot 2, Block 117, Plan 801-0781 at $30,000. Lot 3, Block 117, Plan 801-0781 at $30,000.
Any further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Passed. Motion to adjourn this meeting. Moved by Councillor Carlson to adjourn the meeting at 9:29 p.m. All in favor? Passed. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned. Tamara.